Next, it's working late when they're at happy hour. Then it's just friends with someone they're emotionally involved with. Each lie you accept teaches them your trust is worthless. The second unforgivable act is public humiliation disguised as humor. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The person who tells embarrassing stories about you at parties, who mocks your interests in front of friends, who undermines your authority with your children. Oh, don't ask him about finances. He can barely balance a checkbook. She's trying to get in shape again. Let's see how long this lasts. They're not being funny. They're establishing dominance by destroying your reputation. This behavior is particularly insidious because when you object, you're too sensitive or can't take a joke. But jokes are supposed to be funny for everyone, including the subject. When someone consistently makes you the punchline, they're not expressing humor. They're expressing contempt. And contempt is the #1 predictor of relationship failure. Once someone views you with contempt, the relationship is already over. I counseled a man whose wife would mock him constantly. In private, she'd criticize his career, his hobbies, his appearance. In public, she'd share his failures as funny stories. At family dinners, she'd interrupt him to correct his stories, roll her eyes at his opinions, and apologize to others for his quirks. He stayed for 5 years, thinking this was normal. By the time he left, he needed 2 years of therapy just to believe his own thoughts had value again. The third unforgivable act is emotional manipulation and blackmail. The person who threatens suicide if you leave, who cries to win arguments, who uses your love as a weapon against you. If you loved me, you would. A real man would. I guess I'm just not pretty enough for you. These aren't expressions of feeling. They're calculated attacks, designed to make you responsible for their emotions. Manipulators are emotional terrorists. They take your compassion hostage and demand ransom in the form of compliance. They know exactly which buttons to push because they've spent months or years studying your weaknesses, your fear of abandonment, your need to be seen as good, your desire to protect, all become tools in their arsenal. Here's a truth bomb. Someone who truly loves you would never use your love against you. They wouldn't weaponize your vulnerabilities. They wouldn't make you responsible for their happiness. Real love wants you to be free to choose it, not trapped by guilt, fear, or obligation. If someone's primary relationship tool is manipulation, they don't love you, the love controlling you. The fourth unforgivable act is boundary violation presented as intimacy. This is the person who goes through your phone while you sleep, who shows up at your workplace unannounced to check on you, who interrogates you about every conversation, every friendship, every moment you're not together. They'll frame this as caring, as being so in love they can't help themselves. But it's not love, it's ownership, privacy. It isn't about having something to hide. It's about maintaining individual identity within a relationship. When someone violates your boundaries, they're saying your autonomy doesn't matter. They're saying you don't deserve the basic respect of being treated as a separate person with your own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. I've seen people install tracking apps on their partner's phone for safety. Check bank statements line by line, demanding explanations. Show up at guys' nights or girls' nights because they missed you too much. This isn't romance, it's surveillance. And once surveillance becomes normalized in a relationship, you're no longer partners. You're prisoner and warden. The fifth unforgivable act is physical aggression of any kind. And before anyone says, but men are stronger, abuse is abuse regardless of who's delivering it. A slap, a push, throwing objects. Expressions of anger. They're expressions of dominance. They're saying, I will use force to control you. Here's what's particularly dangerous about physical aggression. It always escalates. The push becomes a shove. The shove becomes a slap. The slap becomes a punch. And each act of violence that's forgiven teaches the aggressor that violence works, that you'll stay, that you'll forgive, that your safety is less important than their anger. I knew someone whose partner would get physical when drinking, started with aggressive gestures, moved to throwing things, eventually became direct physical attacks. Each time there were apologies, tears, promises change. But here's the thing about people who use violence. They only do it to people they think won't leave. They don't hit their boss when angry. They don't throw things at police officers. They can control it. They choose not to with you. The sixth unforgivable act is financial exploitation and control. This is the person who hides money while spending yours freely, who sabotages your career to keep you dependent, who runs up debt in your name, who treats your resources as theirs while keeping theirs separate. Money isn't just currency, it's freedom, security, and options. When someone controls or exploits your finances, they're controlling your future. Financial abuse is often invisible from the outside. The person who forgets their wallet every date, who always has an emergency that needs your money, who quits jobs expecting you to support them without discussion. They'll make you feel guilty for wanting financial boundaries. Don't you trust me? Couples share everything, but sharing requires consent and reciprocity, not unilateral taking. The seventh unforgivable act is deliberate.